I know, the adapter's helping a lot though with, like we used to have to put it under the collar.
Oh, sure.
And now I feel like he's feeling it easier. Okay.
There it is.
That's good, right?
What's your number now?
12.
Okay. Which was yesterday, what, you're at 11?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you found pretty much a stable range.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Heel.
Return.
Yeah, that's what he's been doing.
That's funny.
I know.
Go ahead and do one more.
Okay.
Oh.
Should I like immediately turn around and tap if he's doing that
He's
again?
technically staying in position. How long has he been doing that for?
The past 4 days.
4 days.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna have you do just 3 back and forth and stops when you're ready.
Okay.
And so I can watch him and see what happens.
Okay. Heel.
Yeah, correct that. That's correct. Good. That's fine. 2 more.
Heel.
Okay. I'm gonna have you give a wee bit more slack. There you go. That's good. Yep. Go for it.
Heel. Okay.
Try one more. 'Cause he didn't do it there.
Yeah.
Try one more.
Heel.
Okay. I'm not gonna worry about it.
Okay.
We'll give it time to see if that resolves itself.
Okay.
Because he's technically not passing.
Yeah.
So what I thought was happening is he was going up ahead, going, oh crap, I passed, and then correcting.
Yeah.
But he's doing it right when he's beside you. So,
Weird.
yes. And he on one of them, he didn't do it at all.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering
Okay.
if he's just a bit more kind of cautious right now.
Yeah.
And he's doing that behavior.
Yeah. Okay.
That might fix itself. We'll give it a couple of weeks.
Okay.
If you feel like it's slowly getting better, then I would say I would just ignore it, and over time it'll fix itself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the only thing that I could think of at the moment to correct that issue would be correct. Good job. Yep. Would be yep. I'd probably use food and try to catch him right when we come to that stop. So I'm already meeting him with something, and then getting him using the food to put him in the sit and then feeding.
Okay.
So that you create a so as you're coming to that stop, I'm already ready, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't let him go into that motion,
Yeah.
and we reinforce the habit of stopping to the sit as opposed to the twirling.
Okay.
Okay. First thing I try is just ignore it for a bit.
Okay.
I see what happens, and if nothing gets better, then I would try that.
Okay.
Okay. But technically, he's not forging; he's actually stopping.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah, that's a funny.
Okay.
That's
It's a little extra.
I've seen dogs circle around and lay down, but I've not seen a dog circle around for it.
He gets in like perfect position when he does it.
Yeah. So, okay.
Okay.
Questions about that?
No.
Otherwise, your turns look good. Your speed was good. Okay. So we'll go ahead and get your leash here. We'll scoot down. So we'll go over by that grass patch.
Where's that?
We'll go down to the grass patch over there.
Okay.
I want to grab your bag.
Yeah.
Should I grab mine?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna go down a bit so we're not
Okay.
in the mud.
Yeah. Cool.
Everything okay?
Okay.
So have you ever done recall or anything with Teddy before?
Just come, and it usually doesn't work.
Okay. Did you ever like food or
Yeah,
anything?
food like the Petco.
Target, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're gonna do here is when we first start teaching the exercise, we're not gonna use the words because we want to make sure that he's responding, of course, to the looks.
Okay. Got it.
The reason for the second leash is because typically after so many reps, the dog will get savvy to the exercise and start prematurely running to the owner.
Okay.
Okay. So this allows me to keep him with me.
Okay.
So this is also very, what's the word? Coordination heavy.
Okay.
Okay. So in the beginning, you're going to be fumbling probably or
Okay.
forgetting certain parts of it, but I'll remind you.
Okay.
So when we do the recall, we're not going to say anything. What I'm going to have you do is you go to the end of your leash, and then you're going to go back, and as you start to pull it, like if I pull on this leash here, see there's slack?
Uh-huh.
But right there I can feel tension.
Uh-huh.
And that's tension that he feels as well.
Yeah.
Okay? So what I would do is I'd have you go back to the end of your leash, and then you would eventually pull the leash till it would be taut,
Uh-huh.
and you'd feel tension, and then we would keep directing towards you, and then we would kick in with the remote.
Okay.
Okay? So the leash
So
is
he
pulling.
can't go past, like if he makes this have tension, tap him? Or-
Correct, but you're making the tension.
Okay, got
Right?
it.
Because I'm
Got
gonna go further away from him,
Okay.
you with him,
Okay.
so that we're 30 feet apart.
Okay.
And then you'd pull your leash off, and then you'd be taking up slack to where you'd feel the tension, and then we would layer in the remote.
Okay.
So the reason for that tension first is to direct Teddy to you.
Okay.
Okay, we wanted to guide him, because if we just start remoting him, he's probably gonna just go like all over the place.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Once we see Teddy start to actively move towards you, you would then walk backwards.
Okay.
Okay? So you would start to move like this. Once Teddy's moving towards you, you do not need to tap the button anymore.
Okay.
Okay? So a visual for you would be if Teddy's running away and you were to start tapping, the moment you would see Teddy turn to you and take an active step towards you, you would stop.
Okay.
And you would let him finish the rest of the way. Okay? Should he detour and go like this, you would kick in again. You would also start walking backwards to then redirect him.
Okay.
And then as soon as he starts going towards you, you would then stop.
Okay.
So what you're telling him is, don't go that way,
Yeah.
come towards me.
Okay.
We're trying to shape that using the remote.
Got it.
As you're moving backwards, you're going to take your leash, and which hand do you hold your remote in?
Right.
Right? So then, are you left-handed? Or right-handed?
Yeah.
You are? Okay. So then you'd have your remote with your leash here, okay?
Okay.
And with your left hand, you would feed through as you're moving back to take up the excess slack. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So he's moving towards you, and you're going like this.
Got it. Got it.
Okay?
Okay.
The reason for that is to make things a bit easier for him in terms of finding you. Because if you leave it 30 feet of slack,
Yeah.
he's going to go 30 feet past you.
Uh-huh.
And then you're constantly going back and forth all over the place. So I like to take up the slack so that if the dog passes, then it's only like 15 feet
Right.
of a mistake as opposed to a 30-foot mistake.
Uh-huh.
Okay?
Okay.
Main thing to remember is you're always facing Teddy, but moving away from Teddy.
Yeah.
Okay, so always turn towards him. So if he were to run to you, but then go back that way, you would pivot, start tapping, and then move this way. Okay? Maybe he runs past and then goes that way. You would turn to pivot, tap, 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 and then move this way as you take up the slack.
Okay.
Okay? Questions?
No.
Okay. So main things to remember are tension, then tapping. Once Teddy starts moving towards you, moving back, and taking up that slack and not remoting anymore unless needed.
Okay.
Okay? We'll go over here. Good. And then once you start tapping, I'm going to have you go to say what you're doing.
Okay.
So that I know.
Okay, so you know.
Tap, tap, rip.
Okay. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. Tap. 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 Tap.
Get back. Tap. Tap. Good. Right there. Good. And praise.
Good boy. Good boy.
Good. And break.
Break.
Good. Remember, repeat that 4 more times.
Okay.
For Teddy. Good. Jump. Pause right there. Ready?
Good boy.
Okay, what's your number? 12?
Yeah.
Let's go like 14. Right. Good.
Tap. 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 Tap.
Good. Pause right there. Good. Good. Now we're going to do 3 more.
Okay.
What we're going to do for these 3 is once Teddy arrives, so what I'm wanting is that he moves to your immediate space, so he's doing good.
Yeah.
I don't need a specific area. I don't
Okay.
care if he's in the front, left, right, or back.
Okay.
I just care that he's in your immediate 1 to 2 foot radius. Is now what we're going to add is once he lands next to you, I'm going to have you tap without saying anything to see if we can create an auto sit.
Okay.
Okay? So it's not a sit. It's kind of like the heel when you would walk and stop. He puts his butt down
Yeah.
automatically.
Yeah.
It's the same concept when I call you. Just come here, but then put your butt down.
Okay.
Break. Break. And away. Okay.
Tap.
Good. Good. Pause right there.
Tap. Tap. Tap.
And break.
Good boy.
And break.
Break.
Good. And away.
Tap. Tap. Tap.
Good. Pause there.
Tap. Tap.
Right there. Good.
Good boy.
So when you do that tap, that was correct. But then he started to move. So then I wait
Okay.
because he made it the sit because it was contraction. He goes, "What do I do?"
Yeah.
So then I wait, and then let's say he stopped, but he was still standing. Then you would tap again
Okay.
to see if you'll figure it out and put the butt down.
Got
Okay.
it. Got it. Okay.
Let's do one more. Break, break, break. Break, break, break. Put it a little bit more forward. So you don't end up in the path.
Yeah. Right. Tap.
Good.
Tap. Tap.
Tap, tap,
Tap.
now back, tap, 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 now wait. Good.
Good boy.
Good. Now pause right there, okay? So, this is the other part of the recall stuff, is that we want to start forcing mistakes. Okay, so in that moment, what happened when you tapped him?
He moved away.
Correct,
A little bit.
right? So it confused him.
Yeah.
It gave you the wrong response. Okay. So this is another reason why I do it this way, is because I'm trying to teach Teddy to decipher what he's supposed to do, which in this context is always to move to you. So we're essentially forcing that to happen,
Yeah.
right? Because realistically speaking, when you're going to need the recall to work, it's typically like when you absolutely need it to work, it's emergency scenario
Yeah.
that you might have to go higher, or let's say he's spooked, he's not thinking clearly, you're having to make him figure out what to do, and there's going to be a lot of confusion. Okay, so if you've worked into confusion previously, you're going to have a much higher chance of success in that moment, as opposed to if you've never touched it before.
Yeah.
So people typically think, if I teach my dog to come, that's it. And I go, well, yes, in regular life, playing with dogs, off leash at the park and stuff. But if something scares them, car backfires, firework goes off, a dog charges at him, and he like gets spooked and takes off. Like, there's a lot of things outside of that context that aren't obedience related.
Yeah.
It's all about the dog's survival instinct and him going, holy crap, every dog for himself, I'm gonna run away from the threat. And now you have to make him return and essentially return towards the threat. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I like to force issues. One of them is confusion, the other one is panic, okay? The other part of this is the emotional aspect of it. If he's in a stressed out state or panic state, you're probably gonna have to crank the collar to get him over that moment. So it's hard for people because the dog's yipping and yelping and stuff, and it sucks. So you're trying to get the dog to figure it out while you're also trying to work through the emotional side of it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you're getting nervous, like, oh, am I doing the right thing? And then until you make it happen. But if I do this in a controlled context, you condition him, you condition yourself, so that should something happen, there's already like a fire escape plan in place.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. A lot of people, they when they, for whatever reason, when they live with their dogs and talk about their dogs and stuff, it's like as if nothing bad would ever happen. And I'm like, that's not how life works.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I'm trying to prep you for.
Okay.
Questions about that?
Nope. Makes sense.
We're gonna try another batch. Oh, sorry. Another batch of 3. Because on that last one, he did do it by himself, which I like. So we're gonna see if he'll do it again. Okay. Otherwise, you would.
Yeah. The mistake.
The auto sit.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. What number you at?
14.
Go ahead and go to 16.
Cat. 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 Cat.
There it is. Keep going.
Cat.
Keep going. A little bit more back. Back.
Cat.
Back. Back. There you go. Good. And wait right there. Good boy.
Oh. Good job.
Break.
Break. Go on. Go on.
Break, break, break.
Go on. Go. Go.
He's already starting to figure
I
it out.
know. Yeah.
Come on.
Cat. 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 Cat.
Yeah. Break.
Break.
All right.
Go. Go. Good.
Great little push. Come here. Yeah, so you see how he's starting to want to follow you now?
Yeah.
All that stuff is normal.
Cat. 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 Cat.
Good.
Cat.
There it is.
Good.
Very good. Attaboy. And break.
Break.
Go ahead and walk him this
I always
way.
forget break.
Huh?
I like forget break.
Break. I'll explain all that right now.
Okay.
So we'll give him a break, or like a legit break.
Okay. Yeah.
Let him rest for a second.
Okay.
So we're progressively making things a little bit harder. So first we did with the leash pull, and then we moved towards adding in the auto sets. And then what did I add on these last 3?
I actually don't know.
Petting,
Oh yes, the petting.
right?
Yeah.
And when I started touching him, you can see where it became difficult for
Yeah,
him
we had to turn it up.
To exactly, right? That's normal. And he actually started to move towards me. I don't know if you saw that on a couple of them. When you tapped him, he actually started leaning into me.
Okay.
Okay. So for the dog in the beginning, a lot of times when you're conditioning the remote collar, if there's something active physical going on, the dog tends to gravitate towards that.
Yeah.
Okay, it'll push him in
Yeah.
deeper. So I think I said on the call, like if he's already on someone's lap
Yeah.
and you try to remote him off, he's probably going to dig in deeper.
Yeah, you said that.
Okay. Yeah. So it's a similar thing. Okay.
Okay.
So that's the reason why that leash pressure is there. And I just keep tapping, and then we just kept increasing it. So he's like, all right, moving into Jesse isn't the answer.
Yeah.
What happens if I go back to mom? Leash pressure. He went back to you, everything turns off, he got praised. And then after we did that, that's when he started going, do I really want to go towards Jesse?
Yeah.
Right? Because now he's starting to associate like, oh, okay, like mom's the one calling me. If I go to mom, if I stick with mom, everything goes away.
Yeah.
Okay. It's normal, it's part of the process. And what we start to create here is body awareness. Okay, or another type. So like the heel command creates body awareness or handler awareness. In this case, this body awareness is like, let's say you're walking with Teddy off leash and he's running around. Dogs tend to gravitate around the length that you practice with. So if you practice with a 30-foot leash, they tend to feel like they have a 30-foot radius because that's typically when you would call them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like my guys practice on a 20-foot leash. So if I walk them off leash, you'll see them zooming around, but they stay within the 20-foot bubble of me, right? And if I start to get too far, you'll see them just kind of check in, and then they'll gravitate closer, but then they'll go back to doing this.
Yeah.
And they're recognizing staying within that circle that is with me at the center. Okay, so that's the body awareness. This is what prevents dogs from running away from like the, squirrels, geese, prey drive, other dogs type of thing. So like there's some people, when they remove the leash, the dog just goes, phew, they're gone, right? Once we get this, it's not going to be like that unless you say break. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why we're saying it at the end.
Okay.
Even though we're not saying come,
break,
we're getting him used to the release.
Okay.
Okay. So my recall is I call you, you come to me, stay with me until I give you permission.
Yeah.
Okay. And I want you here in my immediate space. If Teddy were to have landed like where that stick is, most people would go over here and go, good dog.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
Okay.
Okay, because then I did part of the work. You always want Teddy to fulfill the command 100%. So even if he landed there, I would turn, tap, and move away to draw him in to complete it 100%. Okay? By doing that, because what happens with this is the dog will start kind of gravitating that distance, and they'll slow down, and you're thinking they're going to stop, and then they'll pick back up and keep going. Okay, so it becomes like a check and go. Okay. And when you get the directly to you, it kind of cements the once I call you, you don't need me. So if you go to the dog park and he's playing and you decide to call him, he doesn't like, hey mom. Yeah. And then run back to play again. Right. Okay, so then he knows to stay with you. You leash him up, and then you can leave unless you were to release him. Questions on that? No. So what we're going to do here is we're going to now remove the tension, and you're just going to start tapping first. Okay. We're going to see if Teddy will respond to the tapping and move towards you. No directional pressure, and then we'll start to layer in the word.
Okay. Do I still do the backing up?
Correct.
Okay.
That will be forever. Okay. So like my guys, if I were to call them even today, 8 years later, you still see me like, Lex, Bunch will come, and you'll still see me do this. But I only do like 3 steps. Okay. Okay. Yeah. The reason for that is like, let's say you're in an environment where it's very loud. What we're conditioning Teddy is, let's say he's over there, and he's out of earshot, and I remote him. What Teddy should do is end up looking for you because he knows it's related to you. Yeah. But then he would see you do this, and that's his visual cue of the recall. Okay. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. So the nice thing about this with dogs is that dogs are learned by the way things look at the moment. So like my other trainer, Maddie, she actually did a video on this with her spaniel, where he was off leash and she was at the lakefront and it was super windy and she couldn't project her voice. And she just remoted him, and then he just got up and turned around and ran to her. No words. Okay, so it's a default response. Yeah. So that this way, if you're in a setting where he can't hear you or it's an emergency, you just remote him, he should just always move to you. And the way he deciphers it is because he's so far away from you, he knows that tap always means in the setting to do a recall. Okay. Okay? Got it. Break. 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 All right. So this time, no tension. So you'll leave it slack. That's good there. And then you'll start remoting. Tap, 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 tap. Right. Now back. Good. Stop. Good boy. Right. Excellent. Break. Break. Let's do that. We're going to do that 4 more times. Okay. 1. 1.
Tap, 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 tap.
Good. Beautiful.
Good boy.
And boy. And for the recall,
Break.
I don't care if he lays down. Sit or down is fine by me, unless you know you want to be specific about it.
Okay.
Because either one should
Okay.
be separate.
Yeah, I'm good with either.
Come here, bud. Come here.
Tap, 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 tap.
You got it. There it is. Good. Now wait. So turn to face him. Yep. Tap. Okay. Hold right there. Great. Good boy. Good. Break with the 2 more.
Wrapped around his leg.
Everybody. And a boy. Good. Good.
Break.
Last one. Good. Break.
Tap, tap.
Good. Right there. Good. Beautiful.
Good boy.
So now we're gonna add in the cue.
Okay.
Teddy come,
Okay.
and then you would follow with the tapping. If we saw on some of those, I don't know if you saw Teddy when I was moving backwards.
Yeah, he was really confused.
He was backing into me, right?
Yeah.
So what I was doing was slowly removing myself from the picture, so that because if he kept going back, at some point he was gonna hit tension,
Yeah.
right, of your leash.
Uh-huh.
So then he goes, okay, I can't go back any further, and Jesse's out of the picture.
Yeah.
That just leaves mom.
Yeah.
And then from there, he was able to get it to where he was just going off a couple of taps, so that was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna layer in Teddy come, then the remoting immediately starts, even if you see Teddy start moving towards you.
Okay.
So if you call him and he starts going, you would still tap him.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll explain that later.
Okay.
But if you call him, he responds and you tap, you just need the 1 if he's already doing it. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
So yeah, when he starts, just one.
Just
as
the
he's
1.
Going. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to keep it on him.
Okay.
Unless like you call him and then you need more to get him
Yeah.
to start moving, then that's different.
Okay.
All the rules stay the same.
Okay.
In terms of moving back and all that stuff. The only difference is now we're adding in the verbal cue prior to everything starting.
Okay.
So that's technically the warning.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like typically people will give a command and then they'll repeat it like firmer, and then they'll do remote. But they create that sequence
Yeah.
of I wait for the firm one before the remote kicks in, and that's where they create issues and delays.
Yeah.
But for Teddy, if I tell him I call you and it immediately kicks in and he wants to beat that, he's gonna want to respond as soon as he starts hearing you say something. So then you start getting very fast responses.
Got it.
Okay?
Okay.
Break.
Break.
Come here, bud. Bed. Bed, guy. Where are you? Good boy.
Hey, come. Tap. Tap.
Right. And back. 1, 2. Good. Okay. Good. Great.
Good boy. Break. Oh, so let's.
Good.
Teddy, come. Tap. Tap.
Good. Back. 1, 2, 3. That's good.
Good
Good.
boy.
He's doing much better with that pad. He's
With
doing
what?
way better. With
Yeah.
that contact pad.
Yes,
Yeah.
so much better. Okay, break.
We'll do 3 more.
Teddy, come. Tap. Tap. Tap.
Right. Good. Good. This is the messiest.
Yeah.
And
Teddy, come. Yeah. Yeah.
good. Right. Good job.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like I should have tapped there.
You got it. There it is.
Good boy. You kind of looked like you got a little dazed.
Yeah.
Break.
I think you might have gotten distracted over the dog and passing.
Okay.
Just as you're moving forward.
What should I do in that case if he kind of like slows down?
You can move back and tap to speed
Okay.
him up.
Okay, got it.
So you can tap for detours,
Uh-huh.
for slowing down, for hitting the ground and being distracted.
Okay.
Anything outside of what the recall is,
Yeah.
you can tap
Okay,
for.
got it.
But then you want to make sure to move backwards at the same time.
Got it. Okay. Teddy, come.
There it is.
Tap.
There you go.
Good boy.
Excellent. What I'm going to have you do here is keep your leash how you have it and just kind of toss it to your right, but keep it in your hand like that, just to clear it out your way. I'm going to have you say heel and just start walking forward, okay?
Heel.
And then slow step. Good. So, questions so far? The name and immediate tap is to force confusion,
Okay.
right? To force that mistake.
Yeah.
Because if I'm Teddy and you call me, right?
Uh-huh.
And he responds, and then you tap, what do you think would happen?
He might get confused and stop coming to me.
And what else? What might he do in response?
Sit. Or, I don't know. Oh, go the other way. Okay.
Yeah, might run away.
Okay.
So, because for him, command, response, she did,
Yeah.
and then the tap kicks in. So he's like, oh crap, maybe that was the wrong response.
Okay.
So then you confuse him.
Okay.
So that last one I think that you did when you called him, the tap came in like a second after he was already moving towards you,
Yeah.
which wasn't a bad thing. You know,
Yeah.
you're trying to be as close to the command as possible.
Uh-huh.
But I saw it and he just felt it. He just kept moving forward. And
Yeah.
I went, good.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Okay.
If he feels the tap, if anything, it should make him move faster.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
But never away from us.
Yeah.
Should it project him away from you, you would kick in, tap, tap, tap,
Uh-huh.
tap, tap, and start moving backwards.
Okay.
Okay? That last one was really good because he responded right when you said Teddy come,
Uh-huh.
and then the tap came in delay. So I liked his response time. And I liked that he worked through the tap.
Yeah.
This little last part where I said say heel and just walk forward is whenever I train a dog on leash, I'm actually using off-leash methods.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
right off the bat, I'm actually training the person's dog to be off-leash reliable.
Yeah.
It's whether or not the owner wants to practice and put in the effort to get it to that degree and proof it. Okay, so that's why I said heel, because the leash doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Short leash, long leash. If he understands the concept of heel and to walk beside you, doesn't matter what you're using.
Yeah.
So right there when you said heel, move forward, there was no tension. It was a 30-foot slack. He
Yeah.
could have not done anything.
Yeah.
He could have just walked off, but instead he stayed right at your side and even sat down when you came to that stop.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you'd like, you can start already practicing that stuff.
Okay.
Okay, and you already have the tools now.
Yeah.
I go to the park, I slap the long leash on him,
Uh-huh.
I tell him, great, I let Teddy be a dog.
Yeah.
Now you want to start, because this is not realistic, you know, in terms of recall. Like, you're not going to be calling Teddy back and forth between people.
Yeah.
You're going to be somewhere
Yeah.
where he's playing with the dogs.
Uh-huh.
You know, maybe he's chasing the squirrel or something, and you're needing him to return.
Okay.
So, to practice this, you have this if you have a friend, your roommates, so you can force the disconnect.
Yeah.
Okay? If we were practicing like this, how do you think we could change this exercise to make it more realistic?
If there was a squirrel, he loves them.
Okay, but
Yeah.
let's say you're working with a roommate,
Oh, roommate.
right? Like it's the same
food?
setup.
Food,
Food,
for them.
you could use food to
Yeah.
distract him.
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
Maybe like a toy, tug of war toy.
Okay.
Probably works.
What else?
New people. New.
So you're thinking, your mindset is on something actively having Teddy's attention,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So most people when they use the recall or need to use the recall, the dog is chasing something.
Uh-huh.
The dog is running away from something, or the dog is moving towards something they shouldn't, like the street, towards a dog fight. So what we're trying to do is recreate, yes, distractions, but recreate scenarios where Teddy is moving, either moving or moving away from you.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So I could grab Teddy from you and then start running with him.
Yeah.
And then you would issue a recall there.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's one way to start progressing it more realistic when you're practicing like this.
Yeah.
If you're practicing solo, then yes, squirrels. Slap the long leash on them.
Yeah.
Take the short leash off, Teddy break. You see a tree with squirrels, right? I get within 30 feet and I release him so that he doesn't pop the leash on my hand.
Yeah.
And I let him bark and be Teddy.
Yeah.
Okay? The longer he does that, the more disengaged he gets from you. Okay? So I let him have it 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, right? Let him really get disengaged from you. And then, Teddy come, pop, 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 and backwards. Okay? So now you're teaching him to essentially turn off the drive, the prey drive or whatever it is, and to immediately respond to you. Okay? That's how you start making your obedience more applicable to the real world. Okay? Now, when you're working solo, you have very few opportunities to practice within the context, because if you drill it too much, you're going to see what we saw today, where he didn't want to leave you.
Yeah.
So you're going to make him too paranoid.
Okay.
Okay? So when I practice this, what I recommend is, like, let's say you come for like 30 minutes, and I might for like 30 minutes not do anything with him. Just like let him do his doggy stuff.
Yeah.
And then I find one really good moment, I do one recall, I leash him up, heel, we walk home. Okay? The next time I go, I might call him 3 times. The next time 2 times. And then 1 time. And then 1 time. And then 1 time. And then 5 times. I'm randomizing how many times I'm going to call him so that he doesn't get too attached. And then you lose the comfort of him being able to explore.
Yeah.
Okay? If that does happen, you would then lay off of the recall for a bit.
Okay.
I might just bring him here, tell him break, and you might see him hovering around you. I just ignore him and walk through the park. And then once you start to see him get comfortable, I don't try to kick in with the recall. I ignore him, and then when I'm ready to go, I drag him in, I leash him up, and I go home.
Okay.
Right? Until I see him go back to like normalcy, where he's like, oh, okay, like right now in the beginning when I called Teddy, he'd run right over to me, no problem, right? But then once we got to that point where we made things a bit more serious, then he's like, hold up.
Yeah.
Every time I go to you, something happens, and it's better if I just stay with mom because she's the safe place right now, right? So then we would keep repeating this, or repeating that whole ignoring, how'd you say, him loosening up until he goes back to like just being Teddy and free and leaving no problem. And then I start to integrate the recall again.
Yeah.
So that he learns, like, I can be free and I can be relaxed. I just have to come back when mom calls me, is what we're trying to prove here.
Yeah.
Okay? Questions about that?
No.
Check our time here. If you use squirrels, you can also use them as your reward. Right? So you call him away from the squirrels, you pet him, good boy. I wait a little bit to see if he practices self-control, and break, go back at them. Okay? So you can use the distraction as both your distraction and your reward or reinforcer. So that he learns, like, oh, like it's not that I can't chase squirrels.
Yeah.
It's just mom has to give me permission, and I have to wait for the release if she calls me. And if she calls me, I need to leave the squirrels alone to come right back to her. Okay? So what we're going to do here is, any questions about the recall stuff?
No, not right now.
Let me go ahead and have you just remove your blue leash. And what we're going to do is what I call faux off-leash. Okay. So off-leash, the reason why you want it in this hand is because if it was in your left, Teddy would still see a line, right? So dogs see things in pictures. So when you have your short leash, he sees it going across your body. And that becomes his visual. And I've seen some dogs be perfect on the short leash. Owners doing all this nice fancy movement, the dog spot on. The moment they drop the leash, the dog does not know what to do. Okay? So then, when we do long leash work, we're able to throw the dog off as if we were removing the leash by removing that visual, and keep it on the right side. So now it goes behind us as opposed to between us. So that if there's any confusion and the dog runs off, we can work them through it and not worry about losing the dog.
Got it.
Okay? Everything is going to stay the same.
Okay.
Your leg movements are going to stay the same. Your turn movements are going to stay the same. The heel and the slowing down, the speeding up, all that stuff stays the same. The only thing that's changed is the length of your leash. Okay? So go ahead and turn like this. There you go. Put Teddy on your left. And you're going to say heel and you start moving forward.
Heel.
Go ahead and make a pivot here. Tap forward, tap. Good. Go ahead and make a crossover turn or a left turn. Right? Keep turning left, keep turning left, keep turning left. Now speed up, straight, tap. Good. Turn left. Yep, keep forward, good. Go ahead and pivot to your right. Right, tap, tap. There it is, good. Now slow, slower, stop. He does this twirl. Go ahead and, we're gonna let this go for now.
Okay.
Go ahead and pivot so that you're back on your left. Good, and heel.
Heel.
Yep, good pivot, good turn. Try a crossover. Yep, sharp one, turn, turn, good, forward, good. Go ahead and speed up again. Good. Go ahead and pivot back and slow to stop. This is okay, fine, yep. We'll ignore, we're
I
gonna,
would have, but yeah.
yeah, we'll leave this alone for now. Go ahead and drop your leash, and you're gonna do the same stuff.
Okay.
Okay, heel.
Heel.
Right, good. Go ahead and, yeah, give a tap here. Tap, tap. Turn inwards, forward, tap, inwards. Yep, good. Inwards again. There. Almost. Inwards. Oh, you got it. You got it. Forward. You got it. You got it. Good. Crossover. Good.
Is he lagging?
A little bit, yeah. Try a pivot. Good. Let's speed up a little bit. Yep. Tap, 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 tap. Turn inwards. Tap, forward. Good. He's getting it right there. Now slow. Slower. Tap forward, tap forward. Sorry, he started sniffing something. Inwards again. Good. Almost. Inwards again. Right. Slow. Stop. Fine.
Okay.
I'm not going to argue that. So it's a little bit different once you drop the leash, right?
Yeah, you're so right.
So it was funny because when you had the 30-foot leash, she was actually doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Right? When you would speed up, he'd start running towards you. But as soon as we dropped it on the ground, all of a sudden he starts deviating to your right or lagging, right? That's part of the process.
Okay.
So instead of going a pivot outwards, I'm having you do a pivot inwards now.
So he kind of gets it.
Yes, you're making it easier because you're trying to teach them back to that left side. So when I'm progressing a dog off leash, in my form of training, when we make one thing harder, we make one thing easier.
Yeah.
Okay. So since we dropped the leash, and I figured he's probably gonna have trouble, instead of trying to do a pivot like we normally would, I just turn inwards, so the answer of come to my left side is immediate to him. Okay, and then you just kept doing that, and eventually he came to your left side, and then we would continue forward. So what tells him, ding, 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 that was correct, is the fact that once he gets in position, you just kept your motion, and the pressure turned off.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing is you're trying to figure out how do I get my dog to correct himself using only the remote.
Yeah.
Okay, because now you don't have the leash to tug and pull and to help you.
Yeah.
So you have to start letting those habits go, and more so go by your body language and communication. That's why the backwards motion is so important with the recall, because that's his visual. When it comes to heel, when people lose their dog, their first instinct is, let me run to my dog, but then they'll push the dog away, okay, because they're putting confrontation.
Yeah.
My first instinct is to keep moving away, but keep the left side of my body facing the dog.
Okay.
So if I'm walking with Teddy and he were to go off that way, my immediate response would be to go off this way.
Yeah.
Right? Because now he's seeing my left side. Okay. If he deviated and went off ahead of me, I could still do my pivot and be going opposite to him. So it's very familiar to the short leash. But with the long leash now, if he keeps going that way, it should be right here because he's passing by that way.
Yeah.
So it gives me something to step on, and I can keep remoting until I see him turn around and start walking this way, and then I continue with what I was doing until he lines up.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like in some moments you continue your movement, but you're just making things easier. In other contexts, I'm stopping, but I'm stepping on the leash and not using it to guide him, but just limiting what he's able to do, so he can decipher like, okay, going this way is not right. And then once he starts coming towards you and you start walking again, he goes, oh, that was what I was supposed to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Questions? No. I'll have you try one more short run with the leash dragging, with the heel stuff, okay?
Okay. Heel.
Yep. Very good. That's fine, yep. Good. Right, good job. That's better. Good pivot. Try speeding up a little. Yeah, there you go. Tap, 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 tap. Inwards, tap. There you go. Tap. Almost inwards again. Tap. There you go. Good. Right there. Good boy. Go ahead and pivot. Good pivot. Yep, you got it. Good. It's okay. Just think to your left. There you go. Good. Tap forward. Yep, good. There he is. Good job, Teddy. Slow to stop. A little twirly do. And fine. Okay.
I feel like that kind of went better than
The first time, it did for sure.
Yeah.
He only one time did he really get off,
Yeah.
and the second time he actually figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's what you're trying to condition.
Okay.
So we're kind of removing the training wheels of like using the leash tension and all that stuff to direct them. Now it's just pressure. Okay,
Yep.
and sometimes it's you would have to increase it incrementally to motivate him of how do I shut this off? This is getting really annoying. Okay. Now, depending on whether or not you want the full functionality of the off-leash heel, at some point I start to put the dog under a bit of pressure. Like right now, if you're at 18, I might be 48 one day, right?
Okay.
Where it's because you're trying to replicate if something happened and I have to go up higher.
Yeah.
Are you going to panic, or are you going to just do what you're supposed to do but faster?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if he panics, you work him through it. He figures it out, and now you've created a foundation. And then, like every now and then, I'll do something like that just to make sure that the dog is on its toes.
Yeah.
I look at it as like a fire escape plan. Like, you know, people are technically supposed to have one. Practice it once a month, so that, right? But who does that?
Right.
So that in case something happens, you know, you're not going to be perfect, but you've done it so many times that you have a really good foundation, right? It's the same thing with dogs. Okay, but with dogs, in my opinion, you're more likely to come across something because, you know, other off-leash dogs, fireworks as we got earlier, which he didn't seem to be too phased about. That was good. Things like that. Okay, so for your homework this week, it's really the recall stuff.
Yeah.
But once I start going into the stage, I usually start teaching people long leash stuff. And this tends to make the heel even better. Because
Okay.
it's now you're going to like no leash.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like it doesn't even matter, leash or no leash, the dog is boom,
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, that's
I think that's it.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have your homework for the week. Recall does take people the longest to teach
Okay.
because it requires you to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Have your long leash. Let them be a dog.
Yeah.
Take some time.
Uh-huh.
Call them. Okay, break, and repeat that process. So the next class would be the second half of the recall. Teach whatever else we can.
Okay.
And then if you want to take that time to just really practice things,
Yeah.
then you just let Maria know
Okay, I
and
will.
just start
Yeah.
coordinating.
So I'll decide after next week
For sure.
where we're at. But
Yeah.
cool.
But all this is normal. Like he did really well with the recall.
Yeah.
He took really well to that, and this long leash stuff is pretty standard to what I see typically for the first time we introduce it.
Yeah.
So I think he's right on
Okay.
on
Great.
par with the
Perfect.
something. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.